Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we will be painting a beautiful lavender field in a very loose kind of a style using none other than watercolors. Right? So let's get started. Before we start, let me walk you through all the materials that I'll be using to paint this landscape. So let me first talk about the paper. So here I'll be using A5 size 100% cotton 300 GSM cold press watercolor paper. Now, using the right kind of paper is very important for this style of painting. Alright, next we'll be using granulating watercolors from White Knight. I have a thorough review of this set already up on my YouTube channel, so I will link it on the top. So, in case you want to see the swatches and you want to know how I feel about this paints, then do check it out. Then you will be using all the round brushes of different sizes and so you can use any round brush you have. We will also need a brush or any sharp object to give a little bit of texture in our painting. I will teach you how you can do it in the later part of our painting. Next, you will need a pencil and eraser to sketch out your painting. Then you will need a tissue paper or rough cloth, masking tape to mask down your paper on all four sides, and lastly 2 jars of water, one to clean down your brushes and other for a fresh supply. Alright, so let's not waste any time and get into the painting part. As always, we will start by applying masking tape on all four sides. Make sure that you thoroughly press your masking tape so that there's no gap between the tape and the paper. And let's move on to the sketching. So sketching is very simple. We'll first draw the horizon line, and once we have drawn the horizon line, we will draw a huge C, making it look like a road which is leading towards the horizon line and coming in the foreground. And then we will draw a large trees and some smaller bushes on the horizon line, and lastly we will draw three tiny little cottages on top of those bushes. The sketching is very simple. I have kept it easy for you all to follow, and rest all we will be doing it with our paints. It is a very loose kind of a landscape, so you don't need a lot of you know techniques and everything to paint, as we'll be using all of our granulating color to paint our landscape. So those texture would add a lot of beauty to our landscape. Again, if you don't have this set or you don't have a granulating color, you can use your normal paints to paint this landscape. Even after using those paints, it would look phenomenal, believe me. So work with whatever materials you have with you right now. You can paint any landscape with any paint. All you will get a little bit of difference in your end result, but that is totally fine as long as you follow the techniques that I'm teaching. Then the end result would be beautiful. All right, so yeah, let's get started. So for the sky, we'll be using gray pink mist from our granulating set. It is a beautiful dark gray color, which when you put it on the paper, you will get a beautiful hint of pink color and a granulation of ultramarine blue. So yeah, again we'll be using a lot of wet on wet technique while we are painting, because when you work with granulating color, it is important that you apply a lot of water on your paper and you let all the colors flow to get the best of the best effect of those granulating paints. Okay, again, if you don't have this shade, what I'll suggest you is to add a little bit of ultramarine blue to your pines gray and then paint the sky, and you will see that the ultramarine blue would settle down, make giving you the beautiful effect of granulation on your sky. All right, so yeah, let's get started. I have already started painting the sky. So what I did is I applied an even layer of water, and here I am starting to apply the gray pink mist on the sky. What I'll do is I will apply in layers. First I'll apply the lighter shade, and then I will apply more and more of the same color on the right hand side, and you will see that I am just reapplying that same exact shade to create the darkness as well as the depth in our clouds. And yeah, with each layer you will have to make sure that the color value is darker and darker, and you apply less and less of water to get this effect. All right, and that's all. Leave it as it is. While that is drying, let's move on to painting the foreground part. So again, we'll be using the same wet on wet technique to paint the lavender field. So I'll apply even layer of water first, and then we will start applying the purple color. Now this is the ultramarine violet color which I'm using, and this color also granulates beautifully. Again, if you don't have this color, you know the technique, you'll have to add a little bit of ultramarine blue to your purple, or you can add, or you can mix your own purple color by mixing your red and ultramarine blue together, and then the ultramarine blue would separate out, giving you the beautiful effect of granulation onto your lavender field. Okay, so once I have applied the ultramarine violet at the bottom part, what I'll do is I will take the violet mist, the hematite mist, and violet shadow, the three colors from our white night palette, and we will start adding the tall strokes in the foreground part. So you'll see that when I'm adding those strokes, I will hold my brush at almost 90-degree angle so that I get the thinnest looking strokes, and I'll be using a very thick consistency of paint to paint those strokes. Otherwise, as the paper is wet, the color would flow and you won't get those defined strokes. Okay, so yeah, and with the same color I will also paint the road on our foreground. Okay, now I'm switching the brush, moving to the smaller brush and redoing the same thing, that is painting the strokes using a little bit of ultramarine blue, using the ultramarine violet, and all those granulating color which we used earlier. Okay, so it's all about layering your landscape, and you always start with the lighter value and you move on to getting your shade darker and darker, and make sure whenever you are layering you leave or you don't cover the underneath layer completely, and you can see all those beautiful layers once you are done painting it. Okay, so yeah, that's the basic technique which we will be using for this landscape. So the same thing we'll be doing to paint our bushes. We will start with the lighter olive green color, and then we will put a little bit of darker green on top of it, and we will again put a more darker green color on top of it to create a little bit of depth and contrast in our painting. All right, and it is a very loose kind of landscape which doesn't require a lot of defined strokes. So don't worry if you don't get those thin looking strokes in the foreground. You can see all of my strokes are, some are thicker, some are thinner. Anyways, we were painting wet on wet, so those colors and those strokes would spread a little. So yeah, all you need to practice for this painting is to loosen up your hand, loosen up your brush strokes, and get free with your painting. And if you're not confident doing it on the paper, you can just take a rough sheet and hold your brush a little bit far away from the tip and try painting some few strokes freely on the paper. Don't worry where it goes or anything like that. The more natural looking stroke and the more free strokes you will get, more beautiful your painting would look. So yeah, you need to practice a little bit of free hand strokes on a love sheet of paper before you move on to painting this landscape. All right, so yeah, while a paper is still wet and your color is still wet, what I did is I took the end of my brush which has a good depth, and I just drew few lines on the paper, and we will see that it create a little bit of dent on the paper, creating a little bit of highlight, and it gives a beautiful effect. Okay, you can use your palette knife, you can use your credit card, or you can even use your scale, the steel scale, to do the same. Okay, and then we painted the roof of the sky using the hematite mist. It is a very dark mauvey brown purple color. So in case you don't have this color, you can use any dark brown color to paint your roof. And then I'm using the leftover paint which is there on my palette to create some leaves on our foreground part, and we are almost done with our painting. It was a very quick kind of a landscape painting, and I hope you enjoyed. So I'll just show you the close up and you will see the effect of granulation which is happening on the sky. You'll see a little bit of hint of pink which is there in the background, and the ultramarine blue is picking through. The same thing is happening over the lavender field. And yeah, the end result is so damn beautiful. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed painting along with me. Now, what I'll do is I'll take my hair dryer and dry off the whole painting before removing the masking tape. So, make sure you do this step, otherwise, you will end up tearing the paper while removing the masking tape, because we have used a lot of wet on wet technique. It is possible that your paper would be still wet. Okay, so yeah, here I'm just removing the masking tape slowly and carefully, and I'll again show you the final result of our painting. And I hope you enjoyed learning and watching this video. And yeah, if you happen to paint this one, then do tag me. I will post all my social media links in the description box below so that you can find me. And I'll see you guys really soon in the next video. Until then, bye bye and take care.